本日はクリエイターズセミナー最新技術と装
Thank you very much for coming to our seminar. Now this is an announcement to the audience. Please set your cell phone to the manner mode in advance. Today's seminar has simultaneous interpretation service. Channel number 1 for all Japanese and channel number 2 for English. And it's scheduled to start at 2:30 p.m. So please wait for a while.
Ladies
and gentlemen, thank you very much for waiting. Now we would like to start the Creators Seminar, the latest technologies and the future for music creators, music in the digital era. First of all, JASRAC's Managing Director Suko Manami will address. Ms. Suko, please. Thank you very much for the introduction. I am Suko Manami. Thank you very much for coming or listening to the Creators Seminar titled The Latest Technologies and the Future of Music Creators. Allow me to say a few remarks on behalf of the organizer. Since its establishment in 1939, JASRAC has been engaged in the management of music copyright with support of so many people. In any time, any age, music enriches our heart and is something indispensable for all of us. But the environment surrounding music has undergone major changes along with the lapse of the time. In recent years, new technologies as AI, blockchain, and metaverse are impacting the music production, distribution, and also the copyright management. And the distribution, which centers on mainstreaming, is bringing major change to the entire music industry. How should we face such change and environment, and what should we look for? Today, we have invited people who are at the front line of music creation inside and outside of Japan, and people who are actively working to protect creators' rights. And to hold a creators seminar focusing on the latest technologies and the future of creators. For the keynote interview, CISAC President Mr. Björn Ulvaeus will make a presentation. And I don't need to explain who President Ulvaeus is, but he is the co-founder of the world-renowned Swedish pop group ABBA. CISAC is an international organization consisted of 227 CMOs in 118 countries and regions. They are working on executive and legislative institutions in each country in the purpose of strengthening the copyright system and collective management system. JASRAC is the director of CISAC and is working together with sister societies around the world. I'd like to close my remark by wishing that today's seminar will be a valuable input in thinking about the future of music industry, the future with which allows many people to connect to various music culture. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we are going to arrange the stage setting, so please wait for a while. Thank you very much for waiting. We now like to start the keynote interview. And Our keynote interviewee is Mr. Björn Ulvaeus, the president of CISAC and co-founder of world's renowned pop group ABBA. And the interviewer is Mr. Suzuki Takayuki, CEO of ParadeALL and director of JASRAC. His vision is Intertech, which is the combination of entertainment and technology. He's very active as a consultant too. So please come up on the stage. So I leave to Mr. Suzuki to moderate. Thank you very much.
Joining the seminar, so it's really huge privilege and honor to interview you because
Thank you.
I have been really impressed and inspired what you do as an artist and also the player to shaping the ecosystem for global creators. So thank you very much for joining. And,
Thank you. Are these all songwriters?
Yeah, so the songwriter の人手挙げてもらえますか?
Who are songwriters in this room?
And music industry 音楽業界の方
Yeah, good.
テクノロジー関連の方 Yeah, something like that.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Perfect match. So, yeah, Sko-san already mentioned that introduce you, but do you have something to add as an opening?
Apart from how you introduced me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you are, of course, you're a famous person as ABBA, and she's president of CISAC, but...
Yes, I'm even an avatar these days.
Okay, great. Yeah, let me
yes,
check. Like.
but I am here in the flesh now. I assure you,
yeah.
This is me.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, definitely. So you do a lot of things like songwriters and the theater, the films, groundbreaking virtual show as ABBA Voyage. So where I checked, and I was so much impressed, and that was next level. So you must check.
Yes, everyone should see that.
Yeah, and also that you are doing the technology ventures like a session, and also but I'd like to start with your role in CISAC, and your role as the president of CISAC. So how has it been so far? So the last 3 years were, yes, it's really kind of not easy, like dominated by the pandemic. How did this affect the ability to speak on behalf of creators globally?
Well, lots of Zooms, obviously. But yes, I was approached by Gadi, Oron, the CEO of CISAC, because we had met previously, and he said, "Would you would be the perfect president for CISAC?"
Oh,
and I said, "No, you're kidding. I can't be president of anything. Never been in my life." But in the end, I sort of, yes, maybe with my background as a songwriter, and knowing all I know about the chaos going on in the world with metadata in the music industry, I thought maybe I can do something for my fellow songwriters. Be kind of a spokesperson, and maybe, knowing all the labels, knowing everyone in the industry, I might be of help. So I decided to say yes, and now, yes, I am the proud president of CISAC, and it's been interesting, very interesting. Of course, it started off, as you said, with a pandemic, which meant that I could only be in meetings via Zoom. But nevertheless, I started meeting a lot of interesting people, and a lot of very devoted people in the collecting societies of the world. People who really want to make it better for songwriters and who understand how important it is. And we've met a few of them here today, JASRAC, and all of these wonderful people from Asia Pacific.
Great. So already you touched about how do you see the difficulties the creators, all of the creators are facing right now, from the perspective of the organization's presidents?
Sorry, again.
What is the more kind of elaborated? What is the difficulties for the metadata? Is a chaos? So you said the music business is like a chaos, but what kind of chaos do you have?
Oh, well, yes. when music is uploaded to a streaming service, it's done through either an aggregator or through a label. And all that music, 100,000, they say, a day to Spotify only,
Right.
which is absolutely incredible. And there must be a lot of shit there as well.
And
but
just
the thing
found-
is-
I just learned the 70% of those the song, the tracks are coming from the distributors called the DistroKid. I don't know if it is true, but
But anyway, it's just uploaded, and nobody knows, in most cases, who is the writer, who is the producer. All of these things are not registered. And even when labels upload songs, they omit the metadata about the publisher or the songwriter. And this means that the songwriter doesn't get paid. And I know from personal experience how important it is as a songwriter to get paid, because that gives you time to spend on songwriting and become much better at it. I mean, Benny Andersson and I, when we wrote for ABBA, before we won the Eurovision Song Contest in 74, we were running around in a rat race, going on tour, producing for other people, writing for other people, just to pay the rent. And when we won the Eurovision Song Contest, the royalties came pouring in, and we could say no to everything but the writing. And that's when we became good at it. So I know how important it is. And I know that there are so many talented songwriters out there who've given up because they were never paid. They've given up, and they're doing something else. And that's why it's my passion, to do something about that. And one very basic thing we can do is at least to make sure that all the relevant identifiers and codes for any recording are there, so that Spotify and the streaming services know who to pay.
Yeah, so we, the big topic about the data is the metadata and the consumption data. All of data is a kind of a lifeblood all over our body as a music ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so as you already kind of the found and also the taking care of the importance of the metadatas. And but how do you see all of the creators already acknowledge and recognize that, but also the taking care of that?
Well, that's the big problem, you see. Creators, I'm a songwriter myself. I know what it's like to be in a creative bubble, and you want to stay there because it's so much fun. And those bloody codes and identification numbers and stuff, that you don't want to even think about that when you're in that place. So I have to admit that songwriters are hard to reach with that information. But I mean, they should. They need to understand. They need to understand their business, and education is one part of what the likes of JASRAC and CISAC must do, and we are doing that constantly. But the creators also need help from the other stakeholders in the industry, like the publishers, the labels, everyone working for them to make sure that the relevant metadata is included. It's a responsibility that we all have, all the stakeholders in the music industry.
Okay, great. So maybe I would like to ask you any tips for the songwriters or the creators or the other composers to obviously, so as you said, it is not easy to tackle or facing to deal with those data, but do you have any tips to where we start or where we should do?
You're talking about metadata.
Yeah, is taking the metadata.
Or how to write a hit.
Yes, exactly.
Two different things.
Okay.
Yeah. how to write a hit, I don't know.
Yes.
It's,
Yeah, but because
it's-
if you say you don't know, so it means nobody knows, right?
well, it's an organic thing. It happens. It happens every now and then.
Absolutely.
You strike gold. But the other thing about the metadata is, as I said, try and educate. It's our responsibility to educate, but it's also the responsibility of the labels, who are the ones who upload the recordings. They should be made to make sure that the metadata is there. That's another thing. I mean, I've always thought that this is something that could be actually regulated. Could be regulated in the way that no aggregator or that no streaming service would allow anything without the metadata to be uploaded.
Yep.
There are many ways of solving that or making it better. And one of them is, of course, the initiative by JASRAC now and COMCA and the Asian Pacific societies, what they're doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. So the regulation is a really interesting point. So what is your reference for regulation, the other kind of a data point or the songwriter's point of view? So like, is like a banking or something like that, financial things?
Yes, why not? I mean, in banking, everyone knows that you have to have you have to identify yourself. You have your account number and all of that stuff. And this is, the same thing. In a way, it's like you're punching in every morning when you go to work. Well, you should punch in as a songwriter as well.
Yeah, this is really important things. Like, so now I think the streaming service on the sort of digital revolution is good thing. Is really democratized to the making the music and also distribution music, the global. But at your point, so that is a really kind of huge gap between the knowledge or the experience, and in terms of the how we set the right metadata and also the travel the music. So as you said, the education. Is what kind of education from your creator's point of view? So that would be really necessary, or that would be kind of better.
Well, for instance, WIPO has an initiative, a homepage where it's everything about the music industry. You can learn everything about the music industry. And that's one very good way to do it. And you can Google it. How does the music industry work? And I mean, it's so elementary. And it's all there. If you bother to look at it. And then you know what you should ask your publisher, what you should ask your label, and all these things that you should make sure are happening.
Great. So I would like to also know about the story of in the younger age. How did you learn in your kind of 70s, 80s, or you asked a friend, or whether you have a partner or something like that?
Well, no. when I started writing, when Benny Anderson and I wrote songs together. That's we would write a song. And once it was finished, we would just tell our people that this is the name of the song. It was all done for us. And that's why I know what it is like to have that service. and I got very spoiled by that. It was only later that I understood that obviously not every songwriter can have that service. And they need to do it for themselves. And songwriters these days have to be entrepreneurs at the same time. They have one songwriter told me the most important thing he had to do was to, well, apart from writing the song, was to monetize wherever he could.
Yeah.
And that's I don't envy a songwriter of today, because it's much harder, I'm sure, to have a long career today than it was back in the 70s and the 80s. And that goes for artists as well. It's much tougher now.
Right. Yeah, so WIPO thing, so maybe it's the same as you mentioned, so there is a program called the WIPO for creators.
Yes.
And also they are they're running the program for the education to understand the dynamics of the ecosystem and also the tips for the creators.
Yes.
So when the last month, so I had a call with the WIPO guys for something collaboration with the WIPO creators, but I learned there is no Japanese language version. So I've asked them, but so hopefully, we're going to have
that's a scandal, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not arguing, but also definitely the Japanese the people also needs to make more presence to let them do that. But so this is a different kind of, there is a language barrier, but also as we've seen, lots of the Japanese music travel to global. So also I would like to ask to from your experience in the global the experience, what is the important things in mind to getting more global and also getting travel, get the music travel in the world?
That is a hell of a difficult question, because I can only tell you how we did it.
Yeah, please do that.
And honestly, we never speculated. We only wrote the best songs we could. We kind of emulated ourselves on the Beatles, in that we would write an album, and from that album to the next, we try to develop. And so if you listen to the ABBA repertoire, you can hear that in the beginning it sounded like younger, like more oriented towards teenagers. And whereas towards the end, with songs like SOS and Mamma Mia, and then in the middle, you have songs like Knowing Me, Knowing You, Dancing Queen.
Yep.
And towards the end, it sounded more mature, like The Winner Takes It All. But we never knew why this music appealed to people all around the world.
Really?
We really did not know. We were just very lucky that we seemed to have the same taste as a lot of people around the world. And that's all there is to it, you see. Trying to write that best of melodies and the best of lyrics, tell a story, and record it the best you can. And that's all you can do. Once you start speculating, when you start speculating in people's taste, thinking that you can imagine what they would like, well, it becomes artificial. It might work sometimes, but certainly the music that works the best and the music that stays with us for a long time comes from the heart and is written without any other thoughts than for yourself, to write the best melody you can at that very moment.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's great answer. So yeah, back to your role of the president of CISAC. So I saw in the GEMA report, and you talk about the near invisibility of the creators in the commercial value chain.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yes. If we take the streaming world, which the digital world, which is, we're going there. The physical world is vanishing more and more. And if you look at streaming, roughly 30%, well, Spotify has a pot of money at the end of each month, and they have a total number of clicks, and they divide the amount of money with the number of clicks, and you have the value of each click. And that pot of money, they keep roughly 30%. And the rest, 60%, in this country, around 60% goes to the label and 10% to the song, where the song is split between publisher and songwriter. And you can see that of the 100%, there is maybe 5% or something like that going to the songwriter. And that's what I call the songwriter being marginalized, especially in view of the fact that this industry is a song economy. It all revolves around a song. I mean, these young people listen to songs more than they listen to artists. When they click something, it's much more often a song that they like, and they don't even know who the artist is sometimes. And yet the songwriter is treated like the poor cousin from the country. And I don't think that's right. I think the songwriter is the star together with the artist and should be treated as such. And that's what I'm working for as president of CISAC.
Right. Wow, that's great initiative. So, okay, so last point for your keynote interview, and also definitely, so we're gonna also share the panel about more deeply and with the other panelists. And so, yeah, I would like to ask about the more cutting-edge technology. Like this, also the seminar's theme is new digital era, and now the new innovation cycle, like / buzzword like Web3, NFT, metaverse, and generative AI. But at this time, so I would like you to talk about the metaverse. So metaverse is really, now it's controversial. It's like, it's really Meta is not doing well, and also there's something happened or not happened, something like that. But so how do you see the possibilities or the concerns of the metaverse in general?
Well, it's a buzzword, as you say.
Yeah.
Lots of people are talking about the metaverse as though they knew what it was. But the fact is we don't yet know exactly how it's going to work. It is going to happen. I'm sure of that as well. But someone said that the best description he could think of would be a digital Disneyland. Like you come into Disneyland and you go to various attractions, but you go as an avatar, as your own avatar, or together with your friend who's also an avatar. And you go into these various attractions and you pay and you buy things or you experience things. So I think that is what's going to happen. But the metaverse has to be like a global metaverse.
Yep.
So if Amazon has one metaverse, it has to connect to the Google metaverse and to every other metaverse, so that you have freedom to go between them and enjoy whatever is in there. And the experiences you can find in there will be fantastic, I'm absolutely sure.
Yeah.
But they will be AI guided, and they will be, you know, I know a little about avatars, having gone through the Voyage experience in London.
Great.
And there will be lots of fun things to do and to experience in the metaverse, I'm sure.
Yeah, as you said, also I saw the metaverse in the concert venue in London, the ABBA Voyage. But so as you said, the global in the metaverse is in nature is global. Like interoperability is a must-have, and also from my experience that I produced some activation in the metaverse, and in 4 days 20,000 people gather in the metaverse, and also this is not big numbers, but so big number is people from the 101 country together, gather in the metaverse. So maybe I would think the CISAC will take a lead for the metaverse, the copyright licensing and correction and royalty. So would you resonate that?
Yes, we have to engage in that, obviously, because there will be intensely complicated copyright issues in the metaverse. I mean, you go into a metaverse concert hall to enjoy the KISS concert, the KISS Avatar concert, and what are the songs that are being played there, and what goes to the songwriters, what goes to the artist, and all the other copyright stakeholders, only in that little concert hall in the metaverse.
Yeah.
You can imagine how incredibly complicated that will be, and it will take time. And I'm sure that the copyright legislation, when it comes to the metaverse, will be slow and painstaking, while everything is happening fast in the digital world.
Right, yeah, right. So I think that is really that we need to do something for our registration. So, and I think that's kind of final point I would like to mention and ask. Definitely sort of songwriters really kind of each individual's figure that express by them ways. But as a CISAC or as a JASRAC, as a society or the CMO and also the organization, so I think the unity is really important, like to make a better ecosystem or the better environment for all of us.
Yes.
So can you provide us some message for the creators, Japanese creators, to unite ourselves to make it happen?
Well, they can unite by supporting JASRAC.
True.
Because JASRAC is there for them.
Yes.
I mean, the collecting societies around the world and CISAC are the only organizations that has the songwriters' back and loyalty at all times. They are working exclusively for you as a songwriter. So JASRAC is the way to unify and to get behind. And I, by the way, I want to thank you for not asking me what my favorite ABBA song is.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the next panel. Yeah, but the different kind of unity is really also the beauty of how music works for audiences. So I also saw the joy and the unity of the euphoria when I was in our voyage, but also you already made huge songs and the number of songs that make a unity, and also now I'm really impressed that you have a role in CISAC and also the so much effort to on that.
I'm a unique crossover.
Unique
between the songwriting world and this world of boring metadata.
Boring metadata.
Someone has to do it.
Yeah, we should not say that boring because we need to take care of.
No, okay. No, it's interesting. It's very interesting as well. Absolutely.
But what motivates you that those unique crossover and also the hard work for every day?
What motivates me is that I can actually do something for my fellow songwriters. That's why, and that's the only reason, really.
Yeah. The kind of things that you ask yourself. So,
yes, because I can in every young songwriter I can see myself, and I know how little I knew. And that I could have needed guidance, but I was lucky to have other people doing it for me. So that's why I'm president.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I also asked, continue to ask the many things on the panel, the next, but yeah. So for now, so thank you very much for interview.
Thank you.
鈴木理事、そして Mr. Ulvaeus ありがとうございます。
Mr. Ulvaeus and Mr. Suzuki, thank you very much. We now would like to take a break and make sure that you have all your belongings with you, including valuables. And the next session is going to start from 15:15. Please go back to your seat by 15:15.
お待たせいたしました。
Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to now start the panel discussion. First of all, introduce today's participants. First of all, CISAC President Björn Ulvaeus. Songwriter, music producer Kanata Okajima Kanata. CISAC Director General Gadi Oron. JASRAC President Izawa Kazumasa. Moderator is from ParadeALL Company CEO, JASRAC board member Suzuki Takayuki will be serving as a moderator. Now,
to start a panel about the creator seminar for a new digital era. And okay, so maybe let's do the introduce yourself from Björn, as obviously, so you're a famous person, but I was curious how you introduce yourself. So please.
Oh, this is a how do I introduce myself? I'm an ordinary guy from Stockholm, Sweden.
Where is Stockholm?
But I look at myself more like an entertainment entrepreneur and songwriter.
Thank you. That's it. Simple. Thank you. Kanata, please.
Okay. That was short and smart. Yes. Hello, I'm Kanata Okajima. I'm a music producer, songwriter. The Wikipedia says that I have more than 120 number ones in Japanese charts. And one of my hits is with BTS twice. And I was signed to a Swedish publisher as a first ever Japanese songwriter. And that was my kind of time to know about publishing copyrights. And I'm here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Gadi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gadi Oron. I'm the Director General of CISAC, which is the International Confederation of Societies of Authors. We have many societies around the world, almost 230 societies in 118 countries, including, of course, Japan. JASRAC is our member here, representing music authors. And all of these societies are making sure that creators creators can make a living because they receive their royalties for their works around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Izawa-san.
I'm the only Japanese speaker, but you can rest assured I am Izawa, the president of JASRAC. Recently, JASRAC has been working on GGS, DX, Kendricks, and Twitter, and JASRAC started talking about the digital, and there has been a rumor in the Twitter that the new DX person was hired. Actually, DX person in charge has become the president. That's the answer.
Each of you talk with each of you about the new innovation cycle of the technology and for the music and entertainment and creators, and what is your opportunity and what is your concern, and also how we as a JASRAC or the CISAC and the creators, how we tackle with and how we deal with. Okay, so I would like you to the Kanata. I would like you to ask to the how did you find what's your the feedback of the keynote interview with Björn?
Feedback. Okay. Yes, I'm kind of type of person as well, like a little bit of unique crossover type of person as a songwriter, and I'm curious of a lot of things. But from the keynote interview, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to study more and more, and I would love to be more updated as a songwriter, because for this new era, for new changes, you have to keep updated if you want to have fun, if you want to make a living as a songwriter. So it was a great input for me as well. Thank you so much.
Great. How about Björn?
Well, I learn new things every day, and I learn new things here in Tokyo as well. Grateful to meet young songwriters like Kanata, because that is the most important thing, to understand what kind of environment you work in and what your problems are. And those problems are mostly the same all over the world.
Great. So I would like to ask the Björn and Kanata about the innovation. What innovation enabling the music creators the change or the transition in terms of the music production or the music distribution consumption? So any points you can make. Okay, so maybe Kanata will start.
So, like you mentioned a lot, so the whole industry is changing to physical, to subscriptions, and our incomes are totally changing. If you want to make a living, you have to write a huge hit, or you have to write bunch of songs to get enough copyrights or enough income to make a living. The thing is, you want to write for new artists. You want to write for new upcoming, talents too. But for now, it's a little bit hard to make, enough copyrights to, enough, it's so hard to collect, when you write for upcoming artists. So a lot of songwriters kind of don't be, don't step forward to write for the new artists.
Yep.
A lot of people kind of more try to focus to just write for the big ones. And that means that, songwriters won't give a chance to the new talents and new artists. And that is not good for the music industry and the whole culture as well. So yes, I feel like it need a change to make the songwriters and the artists too.
Great. How do you see what kind of change were made by the innovation or the technology in terms of the music production or the songwriting process, like a co-writing?
Yes, so co-writing is a huge, one of the biggest, I think, innovation. Mixing the culture, mixing country, mixing thoughts is always will bring the new innovation. So I think what started from 10, 15 years, Sweden and Japan had a lot of co-writes, and that made a big innovation to J-pop, also K-pop, I think. That was, of course, with Swedish and Koreans, but and that is continuing a lot. And now, from the co-writes, now like me, before I started co-writes with the Swedish songwriters, I studied a lot about the publishing, the copyrights, how it's going on, the second use, and it was my first ever, I first ever noticed about the difference of Japan and Europe and all Western countries, and that opened my mind a lot. And that was the time and chance to start studying a lot of the technology and the copyrights. So yes, I'm sure the co-writes and all things will bring more innovation as well.
Okay, so the Björn, your creator's point of view, so the innovation of the technology, how they changed your music production process. It's like, for example, the why you're making the Voyage album or something like that.
Well, pop music and technology has always gone hand in hand, and one driven by the other, and vice versa. And an example of that is that Benny Anderson and I, we were always on the lookout for the latest thing to happen in technology. So when the first synth came in the 70s, we had it. And when the synths developed, we had each one. When we went from analog to digital recording, we were there. And with each new technological invention, pop music changed. and the recordings became more elaborate. You could spend more time on the recordings. The mixing became automated. And I mean, when we mixed Mamma Mia, for instance, that song, we only had 16 tracks.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
16 tracks and not computerized.
Oh, okay.
So we were sitting 3 guys in front of a console, a mixing console, the sound engineer, Benny, and me, and each had his territory to watch when we did the mix. So I had an echo in one of the lines and then back, and, you know, so it was total manual.
Yeah.
And then gradually that became computerized, and now you have, you know, a number, whatever number of tracks you want.
Yes, over 100 tracks and 100 layers or something like that.
And also you have Pro Tools. If your pitch isn't that good, it doesn't matter anymore, and stuff like that. So all of that changes the sound of the recordings, and also, but not as much the structure of the actual pop songs. But I would say that Asian influence on that is very interesting. I think that could change, and K-pop and J-pop. And when you dare not to be too westernized, when you try to use your own culture in pop music, that's when it becomes really interesting. So we've only seen the beginning of that, I'm sure. But don't listen too much to the Western side. Listen to your own culture.
Okay, that's the punchline for the one punchline for them today. Okay, so I would like you to ask. I would like you guys to ask the Gadi and Izawa-san. So also those innovation in the technology, how do they change the collection of the royalty and also the revenue for the creators in these days?
So. I mean, there's a number of things that have changed significantly, I think. The first one is that the market itself has now no borders, so it brought a lot of challenges for the collection and distribution of royalties. If in the past we had societies like JASRAC operating each one in its own territory, now there are no borders. It's one big global market. Every song released in any country, any point in the world can be immediately accessed and used on the other corner of the world. So that brought a lot of challenges to the collection of royalties. Because first of all, you need to identify the works. Then you need to see exactly where it was used, how it was used. Then who should be paid. And then you need to channel all the royalties back to the right hands. So that put a lot of pressure on societies and on the international network of societies to help first of all, deliver accurate identification of works and of the rights holders. And second, to help process the payments much quicker. I think that's one big challenge that we are facing, and we've been working on that at an international level to improve the systems that help the societies like JASRAC, be able to do their job better and quicker. And I think we need to add on top of that a lot of other challenges that we are now dealing with. For example, with the changes in the market, the practices have changed as well. We hear a lot of artists being offered what we call buyout contracts. So that brings another thing that we need to work on to educate creators about what it means for their rights, for their ability to earn a living in the future. That's another new challenge and something that we need to address. AI. AI works. I mean, there's
we're going to dive into that later, but yeah.
Yeah, lots of challenges that we need to respond to, I think, in different ways to what we had before.
Yeah, I think the education is really crucial because the technology also democratize to everyone can be creators and the musicians or musicians, but also there is a lot of to do the work for educate them as the professional, as even they are not intended, right? So Okay, so Izawa-san, so I believe you are also take the lead of the innovation, like Kendrick's, JASRAC is using the blockchain of the helping creators. But so before that, so in your the experience, so how do you see in kind of 10 years, so what do you see the technology that changed, the collection of the royalties or the other areas that are just relevant to the JASRAC?
You mean,
まずテクノロジー
first of all, about the development of technology, CMO, particularly what has happened to JASRAC, is that before collection of the royalty, the operations of the technology has been impacted by the technology, starting from 1980s. Collecting the royalty and distribution, we started using a lot the computers, and the computer technology was the main framework, and then open texture and SSD, and then started to be a crowd, and then virtual machine. We adopted all those. So the copyright management within the JASRAC technology has really played an important role in making things efficient. And so that's the first thing that we felt the impact. So because of that experience, JASRAC itself, about computing or networking, in the distribution of music, the impact that they could have on, we could foresee, and it really advanced more than we forecasted, but we've been able to prepare for that. And actually, with the advancement of the network technology, music began to be distributed as a data, as an information. And with that, the first challenges that came up is the amount of the information that we have to handle, and also the speed of processing the information. And also, as the amount increased, the quality of the information, there is some differences, and we need to deal with that. And those are the challenges, and the reasons we know quite well. And in the keynote interview, President Ulvaeus said that when he was young, they were able to be in a bubble, creation bubble. But before, the creators of the music, in releasing the music, various professionals were involved in that. And the professionals are involved in record, CD, and TV stations. They all need enormous resources. They have to be a really bulky company in order to operate. Then you need a lot of money, and there's a risk money as well. And so there are people who need to handle the money are in a responsible position. And the people in the responsible positions were around the creators of the music. But with the advancement of the network digital technology, those people not necessarily have to be the part of the creation activities, and people can release their own works. Then the amount of the data would increase, but the information that is attached, the quality is going down. That's the issue that we have faced as the experience.
So, and also that we would like to talk about the future. So yeah, definitely now the top of the buzzword is generative AI. It's like a ChatGPT. So the Björn, have you ever used the ChatGPT?
Oh yes, I have.
Oh, great. what did you do?
I used it as to translate from Swedish to English a text I'd written. I also tried it out. I write for musicals sometimes, and when you write for a musical, you might be writing for a special scene in the musical, where a certain thing is supposed to happen, and where certain characters are present. And I tried this out. You can describe to ChatGPT what those characters are, what the situation is, and what needs to happen. And then you ask ChatGPT to write a story about that. And that is very interesting because that in turn can give you ideas about, oh yeah, I could use that, but that is not so good. But and then use whatever you think is good and write a lyric based on that.
Yeah.
You can even use this text-to-image software where you can give the same the characters and all of that, and ask it to make it an illustration. That can give you ideas. And that's how I worked with ChatGPT as a tool. But I do realize that sooner or later, AI will write songs and do recordings that are better than the average song that is inserted into the Spotify system.
Right.
That time will come.
That time
Don't
come.
you agree, Kanata?
Yeah. So how long will it take? What is 1 year, 2 years?
It might be happening as we speak.
Okay, great. Okay, so Kanata, so how did you find the ChatGPT? Or how did you use?
Yes, a couple times. Like, it's such a simple thing. Like, where's the interesting place to bring kids like that? But also, like, for creative, I used once, like, what rhymes with, like, Ayo in Spanish, like that. Like, usually you use like rhyme brain or rhyme zone when it comes to English, but then I wanted some word for Latin, and then it was hard to search by Google in rhyming with Japanese. So I kind of asked to ChatGPT, and they gave me quite interesting words. And also sometimes, like, when I'm stuck for the title, and tell me some interesting planet name or like star's name.
Right.
And no, not like, please start it from S or like, and then, they always answer me. So I thought like, oh my goodness, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you use it like that, it's not a threat.
Yes.
It is a tool.
Yeah, tool. Yeah. So from my experience as well, so like so when I asked by my clients, like an entertainment company, so asked me to the research the generative AI music software. Okay, so I asked the ChatGPT and line up the generative music AI software, and also I checked the 5 of them, and I think that was really good. So I think that I did good research in a really short time. So as you said, the ChatGPT tool, and so how do you? Maybe it's going to be a kind of a sci-fi image, but so the Björn. So what kind of an image do you have if the AI will be companion, as you said, companion or a co-pilot for the music creation and music production? So it's like what do you see in the future with the music production of the AI along with AI?
Well, I see what I just said. I see AI writing actually music
Whole song.
that we won't know whether it's written by AI or not.
So
that is going to happen.
Okay. So it's going to be
And
it's going to be good.
It's going to, obviously it's going to be good. That's that's the criteria for it.
Yeah.
People will listen to it and think, "Oh, what a lovely song," and they wouldn't know which. And that is one of the big problems in the future: deep fake and voices imitated by AI. And will we know if this is the real Trump or if it's a deep fake?
Yes, exactly.
That is a huge question for the future. And I kind of dipped into it by doing the Voyage show in London, where we have absolutely convincing digital copies of ourselves from the 70s. And I just recently, just a couple of weeks ago, I got a presentation by an American company called Hyperreal, and they claim that they can make an avatar of me speaking in real time with help of AI. So, in other words, my AI at the ABBA concert in London could speak with the audience. And that is spooky, but it's exciting.
Right. Yeah, right. So, so how many of people are here to check the ABBA Voyage in London? Oh, not so much. It's just one or two.
Wow.
Okay, so let's.
Well, it'll come to Singapore, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good news. Great. So so like the avatar. So obviously, so the imitates the images of the people like Trump and Tom Cruise or any deep fake. But so the authenticity is also already kind of you implemented into the ABBA Voyage. Like, so if the A artist passed away after that, so someone officially used as a avatar to the more performance or the more creation. What do you think about it?
Well, what you have to do is you have to mint your name and likeness yourself to the blockchain.
Okay, blockchain.
Because that is proof of concept that you are you and you own yourself. And that's going to be important in the future for artists, and important for the people who come after them, their children. This is my dad, and I inherited him, his name and likeness, and his brand.
Yeah, I guess it could be for kind of the additional the identifier for the likeness of the CISAC in the future, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Kanata. So also the back to the what do you see the opportunity for the using the generative AI as the music production?
So first of all, I think the big one is autotune, I think.
Yep.
Yes, that changed a lot for singers. Like, I was in the middle, I think. When I started recording, there was no autotune yet. So you have to sing it right in a good pitch. If you're not good, you're not good. But when the autotune started, you sing it roughly, and please fix it.
Okay. How many artists do you work with use autotune?
I can't say. Because I use a lot as well.
Okay.
And it sounds so good, you know. Of course, if it comes to maybe ballads or maybe natural stuff, it doesn't work. But when it comes to dance music or the tight stuff, autotune works well. Or actually, it's a must on these days. So.
It's very unfair. I mean, the amount of time we spent on getting the pitch right.
I know.
Yeah, but now the DAW also enabling us to quantize the rhythm. So maybe that is really same as the autotune.
Yes, exactly. But what this autotune brought is, I think, if you have a great voice, you can be a singer. You know, you don't have to be. If maybe don't have a skills to hit the notes, hit the pitches, but if you have a great voice, actually autotune will help really well to show you as a singer. Maybe it's good for idols or maybe young singers. Maybe it's not good for relaxed artists, but
Okay, so
and I saw something yesterday at Sony, presented to AI derived auto mixes.
Auto mixes. Yeah.
Yes. So a mix that we would spend, 2-3 days on in the old days.
Yes.
Gets done like that, or then you can change a little if you want to, but the mix will be there, and the AI would have learned from the best. So that's another way it's going to happen.
Yeah. Do you think is that something replace the engineer or the mixer in a recording session?
The sound engineers won't like it, and in the end, I think the best sound engineers will be better than the AI-produced mixes.
Great, great. Okay, so Kanata, so beyond the auto-tune, so the maybe ChatGPT could be the good supporting releases for you, or do you see any other opportunity in the specifically ChatGPT 3.5 or 4 or something like that?
You mean like other stuff than ChatGPT, or
the ChatGPT.
Okay, will help us.
If you use the ChatGPT as your companion of the music production, so how you use it?
How I use, so I used it like that. And before, like the rhyming. Also, I'm sure a lot of people will start to ask about the theme, titles, or maybe when you're stuck about writing love lyrics, because after marriage, it's hard to get input sometimes, you know? Yes?
Right. Okay.
And give me some interesting love stories in teenager happening during the pandemic. Because we never, experienced the pandemic love situation.
Or even forbidden love or something.
Oh, yes. Yes. So maybe, give me some idea or themes, and maybe ChatGPT will give some good ones. I don't know. I haven't tried that point, but yes.
You can get ideas from other places as well.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, but I think that this is really, the ChatGPT sounds like a great tools for the storytelling, like to grab the sense and the resources to tell the story more in various ways for artists. I think that is a really huge opportunity. But so I would like you, the Gadi and the Izawa-san, to ask about the concerns about the ChatGPT or the other generative AI. So what's your view, Gadi, on that?
Well, AI brings a lot of challenges for us. I think that it's still early days to decide how the industry is going to deal with that. Because on the one hand, when Kanda or Björn or other creators wrote songs, it was very clear how they should be registered with our societies and who should be paid for the use. Our works created by AI, works of authorship, should they be registered with societies? Should societies collect royalties for them? Are they even protected under copyright? I think that's a question that is not only an industry challenge, but even for copyright experts, the discussions within the copyright world, I mean, it's a major challenge, and there's no clear views on that yet. And then there's the question of the use of data mining to take advantage of existing works to create new works, and questions around whether this is an infringement of the rights of the previous works or the works used to create something new. So all of the concepts that we are used to in the copyright world and in collective management about who is the author, whether the work is original or not, does it attract copyright protection or not, all of these things are not clear with AI. So we are still struggling to find solutions, and it's not just the industry, but also the experts in copyright law, and this whole world of copyright is still struggling to find the answers to that.
So do you have or do you see any specific discussion or the specific research done by CISAC or any other Western organization or government?
Yeah, so we are looking into that. It's been a while that we've been studying this issue with legal experts. But it's difficult to say at this stage that there's one direction or one view that is more common than others. I think that at the end of the day, it will be a question of the extent to which the work is original and how much input was there from a human creator, and whether you can really identify the contribution of the human creator in the final work. And how you do that, that's a big question, because how do you identify how original a work is when the work was actually created not by a human, but the human part was only including some elements or using existing elements from something created by a human author.
And it needs to be discussed at the highest level, highest global level, that is the UN, because it concerns us as human beings, where we are in this AI world, and how anything that is worth copyright is going to be defined. But that debate is still to be had. I've not read a lot about it, and I think it needs to be. It's very urgent but I've not seen discussions or read about it yet. Have you?
Very little. So we are doing some legal research. Later this year, there's an annual gathering of copyright experts, actually in Paris, who will spend 2 days looking into that. But the views are still very different, and I think that it really challenges, AI really challenges the established concepts of copyright. And it's something that definitely, like Björn says, definitely needs to be discussed very urgently because the market is moving forward.
And it's happening very, very quickly, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. We just have to accept that it's happening. But we need to discuss the copyright issue.
Yeah, definitely. So Izawa-san, so as your point of view, so as a JASRAC, so for this kind of generative AI, what's your view on the opportunity and the concerns at the same time?
AI in the creation, how to handle it, or the copyright of something created by AI, legal matters and technology matters, I am sorry to say, but I don't know yet. But how JASRAC thinks, and in the copyright management by JASRAC, I don't think it's going to change. Actually, other CMs are the same, but JASRAC, when we started the copyright management to distribute the royalty, you have to declare that this work is created by mine. And without that declaration, we are not going to distribute. In other words, how we use the science and technology or AI. If the creator says, this is something that I created, or the publisher say that this is something created by that creator, if that declaration is made, then we will protect the rights of that creator. And then the rest is up to the responsibility of that person. So probably using such technology as a tool, I think the creators that are going to use those technology as a tool, I think if necessary, they should be able to explain how they use that. I think that there's going to be that new responsibility borne by creators. But no matter where we go, if the creators declare that this is my production, then we protect the copyright of that person.
To the next topic, so what is the necessary things to embrace the creators and also the cultural expansion and cultural encouragement from the creators' point of view? So it's definitely the education. One is education, and but also my view on that. So the global exploration is next the important thing for Japanese creators, songwriters to in the Asia country for a kind of a macro standpoint issue in the Japanese market. But so the GDS-DX is really kind of the answer to explore the topic. So as a Izawa-san, as a JASRAC, so what's your current initiatives along with those the initiatives and the other activations?
JASRAC, and what kind of a role are we going to play internationally? Well, I think the basic idea for JASRAC is that, first of all, we have to have the self-help. All the right holders and all the right holding organizations have to do what they have to do by themselves. That's self-help. And then mutual help, that we all live together. And that's our goal. And for that, we need to have a concord. So no matter where you go, depending on the regions, there are different rules, different laws, and more than ever, the weather they have all different cultures, and all those things have to be overcome, and try to come up with a uniform copyright management. I think this is unnatural, and I think that's something that each people in the local region will have to do by themselves. And then on top of that, we like to aim for the mutual help and mutual existence.
Your creator's point of view, so and also your the friends as a songwriters or some other creators around the music industry. Yes. So what is the necessary things for in terms of the education or the other initiatives point of view?
You mean what kind of education is needed?
Education or any other activation is like a...
Yes. So yes, I think education is must because, like you said, we love to keep in the bubbles of creative and songwriting. It's so fun to stay there, but also from this time because this new era, new changes, it's kind of must to keep updated to save our rights and get enough rights to make a living, I think, and also be global. I think like everyone doesn't have to, but I think it's great to have more chance to be globally. I think because I feel that there's so many talents, so many great songwriters are in Japan, but since the mentality and maybe the system a little bit, but it's quite still inside. And also, Japan's music industry is, of course, it's huge as well. So you can make good living, but also I think it will be fantastic if new writers and new songwriters, also artists as well, go abroad and have more collaborations and mix the culture and study a lot there. And that will bring more colorful J-pop and colorful Asian, I think, music industry.
Great.
Yes.
And also that there is a significant language barrier here, right?
Yes, yes. But when it comes to co-writing, I think, a lot of words are from, English, yes. And you can actually talk through music. So, of course, I can speak English, but I've seen many Japanese writers that doesn't speak English, works okay through the co-writing and also, producing artists outside as well. So I think it's just we need more maybe chance or maybe we need more information how to go globally or how to, go abroad to do songwriting sessions and more collaborations, I think.
So Björn, so as a Swedish people, so the Swedish people is my image is for Swedish people is really good at learning language and speaking language, but so obviously, so you have a domestic language and also how you. So I would like to know how the Swedish songwriters to work hard to collaborating the outside of the people, the creators in the world.
Well, we learn English very early at school.
At school, and how old? How old?
I think about 9. 9. 9. 9, 10, and also everything we see, movies and stuff, is subtitled. They're never dubbed, and so it comes natural. And Sweden is such a small market that we've always been export-oriented. I mean, Japan is a huge home market. And that's why you have many Japanese artists who settle and don't try global because this is a good enough market as it is. But so Swedish songwriters therefore look out because Sweden is too small, and because it's possible and they've shown that, and they're very good at it apparently.
Right. Great. So for education, so I would like to ask Gadi about the education. So as the Björn said, the WIPO has a program, but also does CISAC has any specific program or any other the case in the other society in the world?
Yes, absolutely. So when we talk about education, I think that there's a number of things we need to look at. The first one, and perhaps the most important one, is the use of identifiers and how creators can make sure that they are protected and remunerated. It was mentioned here before, but every creator has his own identifier. It's called the IPI. Every song has its own identifier. It's called the ISWC. It's extremely important that creators are aware of that. I think that not knowing your IPI number is not like not knowing your bank account number. You really need to make sure that you are aware of these things, and we are trying to spread information. And then there's other forms of education which are protecting or helping creators understand how they are protected, what rights they are entitled to. I think that many creators are not aware that when they write a song, there are certain things that only they are entitled to do. And that comes up in the context of what is happening today in the market, especially with the development of video-on-demand services, where many creators, many songwriters are offered the buyout contracts, where effectively they give away all their rights. They receive a lump sum payment, but in exchange, they lose the ability to earn royalties in the future, so that if the songs, so if the music they wrote for a TV series become very successful, they will not share in that success. And we try to help creators understand, we're not telling them not to do that, because sometimes a creator may want to take a lump sum payment, but we want them to understand their rights and understand the implications of such contracts and such market practices, because these things are happening with the development of the market and with all of these new services that we have today. So that's another way of education that we are doing. We have many programs to educate about copyright, and we are trying very hard to bring the information about identifiers and how works are used and how works are identified in the market, so that creators get paid what they are entitled to.
Great, thank you very much. So Izawa-san, as a JASRAC, so for the educational part, so can you share the initiatives and or the activation by the JASRAC?
Up to now, JASRAC has been providing copyright education to users and students, children, and general public, and we talk about the importance of the copyright, and we tend to focus these points for the past 80 years. But including myself, what I'm noticing that creators, education to creators is something that we have not been doing almost nothing. As has been discussed in the past, creators were able to create in the creators bubble, and there were people around yourself that you can think about the copyright on their behalf, but it's no longer the case. And the technology development is relevant to the development and the protection of copyrights. And this is going to be the basis of understanding, and the creators need to have basic understanding of copyright in this new era. And this is the reason why, one of the reasons why we want creators to provide identification and a way to identify yourself and start thinking about copyrights. And this is the reason why we have started approaches like Kendrick's.
When it comes to how we emphasize the governments to support more supporting for creators, so you done the research with the JASRAC and the GEMA. So how did you find the points or the topic on that research?
Yes, so these research projects were done in Europe because we have a problem, but the problem is not just in Europe, it's a global problem. And Björn touched on that earlier in the Q&A. The market today, the digital market, does not work for creators. At the heart of this whole industry, there are songwriters, there are people who write songs. But the reality in the market today is that these important people and contributors to this industry are the ones who get paid the smallest amount of what we call the digital pie. And the studies in Europe looked into that. And the reality is that, as was mentioned earlier, the creators are getting paid very little, and even that little is shared with the music publisher. The service, the digital service, usually keeps at least 2, if not 3 times what the creator is getting paid, and all the rest goes to the record company. this translates into the global figures that we see. So at CISAC, we receive all of the information from all of the societies like JASRAC around the world, and they tell us how much they collected, and we consolidate all of that. We process all of these figures, and we come up with a picture of how royalties collected around the world look like. And today, only 1/3 of all the money collected around the world for all creators from all types of use, radio, TV, live concerts, places that play music in public, only 1/3 comes from digital. You can compare that with the income of the record companies. For the record companies, who together collect almost 3 times what the creators receive, for the record companies, it's almost 70% of their income today. So we are very, very far behind when it comes to the digital remuneration and digital royalties for creators. And we are trying to change that. And one of the ways to do that is to, through lobbying and awareness raising, and we work with governments. We had a very successful meeting also earlier this week with Prime Minister Kishida to raise attention to this issue, because the digital market, which clearly is the future for all of us, is not working for creators, and we need to deal with that, and we need to change that.
Yeah, I've been watching the company like German and France was used to be the physical-driven market, right? In the maybe more even 10 years ago, but still the Japanese market is already also physical-driven. But do you think that also the Japan will have the same issue when the Japanese market will be the digital-driven market? The same chaos will come.
Well, I think that physical is gradually becoming something that is more for collectors. You want to own a physical product, and I'm one of those who love physical products. But the reality is that the market is moving to digital. And with that, we need to make sure that the creators are getting paid like they did before in the physical market. And so I think that if the remuneration was fair, already in markets, including Japan, the income from digital services would have been much higher if the percentage that the authors receive would have been what they are entitled to receive. So there's many things that we need to work on. One of them, as I mentioned earlier, was to make sure that everything is identified and that the right people get paid. But the other thing is to increase the share of the digital pie and to make sure that the creators receive a larger share of the overall profits generated by the digital market.
Great.
And one thing we haven't mentioned is that is a big problem, is the lack of transparency.
Yeah.
We don't actually know what's happening to all that money that's floating around. And we don't know what the record companies do, and there is so much we don't know that we need to know. And it's typical for this industry, I think, this opaqueness and this backwardness. It's old-fashioned, and it needs much more transparency for us to understand where the money goes and exactly where it goes.
Yep. So also so maybe that is a kind of same topic like also the global music industry people talk about the black box of the money from the DSP, but it's nowhere to go. So what do you see how to solve this?
Well, the obvious way to solve it is that all the identifiers are there from the beginning, but that doesn't solve the problem with the pie.
Yes.
That is something that I think is in Korea, it's regulated by the government. Whereas it's the market that decides in most other countries in the world. And it's a fact that the record companies, the labels, are much stronger than the publishers, and have been for a long time. And this is because in the physical era, it was much more expensive to have a record company. You had to pay for the studio, and you had to pay for the distribution, the covers, all of that. And for those historical reasons, that has followed us into the digital era.
Yep.
So the division between publishing and label have remained the same. But it needs to be investigated that the labels are not having the costs these days as they used to. And so the division is unfair. The publishing, the songwriters should get more of that pie.
Right, right. So the black box and also the how to get the bigger pie. And that's a really the big the topic for us to grow together, right? Okay, so before to move on to the Q&A, so I would like you to have your the short comment as a wrap, each of you guys. So please start from Izawa-san.
Well, may I touch on one thing about the black box? Actually, globally, this is a problem, but in Japan, the chaos and the black box, compared with what's going on in globally, I think it's quite calm or less chaos. And this is something that I'd really like to emphasize to all of you. But JASRAC license online services. And there are more than 7,000 which are subject to our licenses. And compared with the Europe and Americans, I think we give license 1 digit or 2 digits more. So, in other words, to give they're streamlining more than 7,000 in one country, and almost all of them are licensed, and that's quite unique globally. That's one thing. And also to all the contents, well, sometimes there are things that does not have the identifiers, but not to make it the cause of the chaos for other collection, we have service provider cooperate with us, and there is a common number for the service providers. So there are 7,000 services, and they are not working separately in order to create a chaos, but we make sure that who is the right holders. So we have all the common number. That's what we are working. And because of that, the chaos in Japan or the black box in Japan, just limiting to online within Japan, is not really big. We've been able to confine it. And such measures are bringing about stability in Japan. And I hope that we can adopt this to other Asian countries and also to East European countries, non-English speaking countries. That's my hope.
So, Gadi, please provide your short comment as a wrap.
My short comment. I think that despite all the challenges, we can remain optimistic because more works are used by more people, and there are many more opportunities to make a living in this market. But I think that for that to happen, the first thing that we need to fix is the way the industry uses existing tools. And here again, I talk about the identifiers. Again, I think everyone needs to use identifiers. The creators need to be aware of that, the publishers, the record companies, and the services themselves, because that will help solve a lot of problems. I heard about the black box. Well, I think if we use identifiers properly, there will be a very small black box, maybe not at all.
Yep.
In the banking system, we would never accept that one person transfers money to the account of another person, and the money does not arrive, and everyone says, oh, okay, well, that happens. We will not accept that. It should not be like that in our industry as well. We need to make sure that everything is identified and paid for. And the other thing is that because the digital market is not functioning well for creators, we need government support, we need help, and we need policies that will make sure that the most important people in this industry are protected and paid for so that they can continue to make a living from their work and don't need to look for something else. Björn mentioned earlier how he was free to dedicate his life and focus on making new songs the way they wanted to make them in the early days of ABBA. I think that's it should not be a luxury. It should be something that is given to anyone who wants to dedicate his life to creation, and we need to make sure as a society that we allow that to happen.
Thank you. Kanata.
Yes, thank you so much for a great opportunity today. This new era, this new big change, feels tough, but feel exciting in the same time. So I want to keep challenging and keep study, but also keep moving to make it better and better for us, but also for the new upcoming talented artists and songwriters. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Björn.
In a dream world, creators should be united, and they would be so incredibly powerful if they were. You can only look at the Screenwriters Guild in Hollywood. When they go on strike, nothing happens. Everything is closed down, and things only start once they get their demands. Well, that in an ideal world, that could happen in songwriting as well. But this isn't an ideal world. But I think one thing that young songwriters and all songwriters can do is to unite under an organization, like a collecting society like JASRAC, to engage, involve themselves more in these organizations and make themselves heard, sit on the board or whatever. That is one way of making impact and changing for change, and to make JASRAC stronger that way. I think that's very important, and that's my message to you, Kanata. Go out to your friends and say, unite, join JASRAC and help them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the Q&A session. So we're gonna have about 15 minutes. So じゃあ15分ほどちょっとお時間があるので。
We have about 15 minutes, so probably can entertain some questions from the floor. Please raise your hand, and the microphone will be there. And please talk to the microphone.
一人いらっしゃいました。じゃあお願いします。
So please come up to the front, please. There's microphone. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation session. My question is about the generative AI. Right now, in the generative AI, I think the biggest threat is the image. And generative images are already have sampled the artwork of, and that could be called out by prompt. And something that is really similar to that already in the market. And in the worst case scenario, that could be subject to commercial. And I think in the future, in the music too, if you put the work of certain artists in the prompt, you can have probably the similar melody, or probably a whole song. Probably within 2 years' time, or at the earliest, probably next year. But to the prompt, insisting the copyright, I think CMOs, I wonder whether the CMs are thinking about that. And can we insist the copyright to the prompt? Is it possible legally? And so why don't we start with Izawa-san? About the information technology, apart from the information technology, I think the creators or I think they're going to insist about the copyright. And in the process of the generation, but just copying that, then it's just a copy. And if the creators are involved in that, then that's the secondary copy. And whether it's created by AI or generated by AI, I don't think it's subject to illegality. And is there any way to compete with that? Resist that? I think you can claim about your right. and refute is going to be made by the person who used the AI. And I don't know. Well, I think the person who used the AI will have to think about that it's not illegal. So in that sense, by inputting in prompt, automatically the copyright could be collected. I think that system will have to be created. Otherwise, sometimes, even though you insist that this is quite like my picture or work, I think the creator would just dismiss that this is just a similar thing, because AI creates something that is really similar, but AI also has some creative touch. So I think the issue is whether the prompt is used or not. So whether the things that come out is similar to the original work, and if we just debate about that, it just ends up in a debate. And so specifically, the existence of prompt, well, it may be not used, but how to inject the prompt, like we have the word of prompt engineering, and how to proceed that. Well, I think the process is really quick, and prompter and engineer, I think they're different existence, but prompt engineers, much compared with creators, they're going to use AI in a more efficient way and come up with very high quality works. And that is actually happening. So how to deal with that? I think that has to be thought more.
It's a very good question, and certainly has to be dealt with more. It's only started, if that. And I agree with you. Images are the most immediate results of AI, where you don't know whether it's AI generated or by a person. And I guess whoever creates something needs to prove that it's created. Otherwise, it's AI. It could work the other way around. If you found some way of proving that I've done this. But, I mean, we're just in the beginning, and we just don't know.
Yeah. And in most copyright laws, we protect the input of the author. The creativity of the author is what is protected. So the question is whether that exists in something that is purely done by a machine. And to go to the other point you mentioned, if it is created by a machine, to what extent it's a copy of something that was previously done? Is the issue of similarity, is it a duplicate, or is it just similar? And to what extent it is similar? So all of these issues are a fundamental question of copyright law that I don't think we have answers to. No. At the moment.
And you can imagine if millions go to court at the same time about these things.
Yeah.
It's going to be such chaos. So that's why I'm saying it needs to be discussed at a very high level and very soon.
Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。じゃあ他の質問ある方お願いします。じゃあちょっと。
We'd like to wait for the next question. Please come closer to the microphone.
I would like to ask not only generative AI, there may be lots of variation for getting incentives for creators and artists. For example, getting the super chats and membership in YouTube. I would like to ask how JASRAC and CISAC can handle with those new way of investments and incentives.
Monetization or
monetization, yes.
Monetization, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like relevant to the likeness, or it's like it's a business. But do you have any suggestion, or do you have any other topic over the super chat or any other monetization relevant to the musical artist?
Yeah. Maybe there may be more and more new way to get monetization, or not only the streaming and purchasing. So yeah. And I have Googled about that super chat when I use my songs to, and but there's no information about that in JASRAC website.
Yeah.
So.
For it's like some like a live streamer or the live there is a VTuber, the CGI character is singing through the YouTube, and but obviously, of course, the copyrights, the correction is also working, but so also they made money from the super chat or the virtual gifting, the money gifting. So is that any kind of should be relevant to those copyrights or?
No, I think that's those gifts are what you get paid as an artist. So that's a fee you get paid.
Mm.
Yeah.
But then the copyright is there as well, because if you've written a song, then that should be registered, should have been registered, and then you should be paid from your copyright.
Yeah, maybe it's like the fee of the live performance or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I have seen some YouTube live streams, but so far how the artist and the streamer, yeah, I can see how the streamers get how much gained from this super chat, the kind of stuff, though the songs are used. So.
Yeah, I think the percentage of the get paid from the streaming platform by the streamer without music. So these are really low rates, right? Is a YouTube is like 20-30% or something like that, and also the Twitch. I don't know the exact number, but also maybe that topic. So the streamer needs unity. Right, they should unite to negotiate to the streamer, right? So I think this is really the musician, the creators or the songwriters or the performer, the musician has been unite to negotiate the better deal or the better environment. So I think the live streamer should do that. Like also I heard a story about how SASEM was formed. It's like also there was a guild and also negotiate the deal with the cafe to get paid from the radio, right?
Well, we don't have enough time for the whole story, but the story is that a few artists sat in a cafe in 1850 and heard their music being played, and then when they were served with the bill, they said, we don't pay for the drinks if we don't get paid for our music, and that established, then it went to court, and that's the story why, the rights of creators to be paid when their music is played was established, because the following day they met and they said, well, how are we going to collect all of that money? We need someone to do it on our behalf.
And they got jailed.
Yeah,
they got jailed. Yeah.
Who told you that?
They got in the jail. And, it's at that time because
there's lots of versions for that story, but I didn't hear that one.
So the Brice Holm, the director of the SASEM, and also the composer in France, told me that.
Well, the reality is that it all started, going back to what Björn said about unity, it all started much earlier in the 1880s, I think, when creators of dramatic works realized that if they negotiate together, back then with the Comédie Française, the theater owners who played the works, they realized that if they negotiate together, they will get better rates and better royalties and better payment. But each individual creator did not have enough power, but together they could negotiate better deals. And that concept still exists today, and that's why societies like JASRAC are so important, because individual creators can never get a fair deal if they negotiate alone.
But if you appear on a stage like this live streaming is, then you're paid depending on how popular you are, depending on how many people want to give you a gift.
Yeah.
So that's market driven.
Great.
よろしいですか？
Yes.
どうぞ。
今のようなお話。
Well, this is a kind of the discussion that JASRAC is starting, that discussion and dialogue with the young creators. There are so many network-based businesses, and there are many ways for monetization, and this is beneficial for network creators. But when it comes to copyright royalty is considered to be the fair remuneration for the works. So present or gift is not always a equitable and a fair remuneration for creators. And the CMO and JASRAC, the fair remuneration means that a platformer is making money, and that is something that is paid out of the pocket of the platformer, and it's not a kind of present or gift. And the fair remuneration are two separate things, and we tend to mix those together. And I feel that I'm receiving a fair amount of payment sometimes, but as a rights holder and as a musician, you need to be united, and we lose that opportunity. If you lose the gift, then you will be in trouble. And this is something that you have to keep in mind, and we have to think together. This is a reason, one of the reasons why we started the Kendrick's project. So this is one of the reasons why.
Time is up, so thank you very much for all the panelists, and also I think that we are in the middle of the new beginning, right? So that we need to continue the discussion and also the activation and initiatives. So yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you very much for all panelists, though.
Moderator Suzuki.
Mr. Suzuki, moderator and panelists, thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
以上をもちまして
This concludes our creators seminar. The latest technologies and the future for music creators, music in the digital era. And here's a housekeeping announcement. Please put your interpretation receiver on your seat. Let me repeat. Please make sure that you leave your simultaneous interpretation receiver on your desk, on your seat, I'm sorry. And also, please make sure that you don't forget everything and keep everything with you when you go back. And thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.